Konsachi my tomodachis, and welcome to episode 01 of Sachi Studies, where I'll be looking at cool things and we'll try to break it down and recreate them in some way. For this first episode, we'll be looking at Niji-sanji's Virtual to Live, which has a music video that functions more like a kinetic typography, with a lot of moving text and images and assets to supplement it, kind of like a lyric video. So let's watch through the sequence a couple times that I've cut out. So heavy focus on text and a lot of like moving effects to make the text look a lot more interesting. So let's watch it again. This is the second time through. I've also created a legend. I'm going to try and break down the different things that happen throughout the video. Alright, so stepping through the video, we can see that there's this beginning text that's here from transitioning out from the sequence that I cut it off at. This text, as you can see, the kanji are larger than the hiragana for most of it, somewhat. Like this, and this kanji are for the most part larger than the hiragana. And this text itself is coming towards the viewer, but also going down and fading away at the same time. So for this initial text, it's got plus Z position, it's got Y position, and opacity at the same time. So for this first part, that's Y, Z, opacity. And yeah, the kanji and kana are different sizes. For this next line, you'll see that all of them are the same size, but this has got tracking, rotation, and Z position as this comes closer to the viewer. So it comes in, tracking increases as it spins, motion blur comes towards us. So this part's tracking, Z position, motion blur, and rotation. For this next part, this line, again, you can see this is coming back where the kanji are larger than the kana. And for this specific line, it's got a change in Y position, it's got, well, it's basically Y position for the most part, and motion blur, and it's coming from the top and sort of, they're all moving down together, but this is coming in piece by piece. I'll just put a star because I don't have a specific legend for that. So Y position, and I'll put a star. As we move through, this green bar comes through and is kind of like a transition. I'll note that down as a P. And next, this text I think is probably one of the most interesting parts of this sequence. So this emerges from the background, and it's sort of like mixing the layers with opacity, and it's also coming in piece by piece. And also, one interesting part is that it bulges toward the user, forming an arc. So if you could see this in like 3D, this character on the left will be further back, and this character on the right as well is also further back, and the characters in the center are coming towards us, the viewer. Similar to the other lines, again, you can see the kanji is larger than the kana, where these characters larger than these ones. So this is a mixture of opacity and Y position and Z position, as well as the bulge. So opacity, Y position, Z position, and I'm gonna write the bulge in with a B. Then this red circle comes in, whoosh, Y position to come down, Z position to get closer, rotation, and then X position as it moves out. So Y position to come in, Z position to come closer, rotation to spin, X position to leave. And then lastly, there's some kind of effect that's sort of like dragging and corrupting the circle, so to speak, as it leaves on its way out. And then the last part is this really interesting text where it sort of steps in. I'm going to ignore the special lines around it. This text steps in, and again, kanji big, kana small. It becomes a smaller outline version, or stroke version, and then it becomes a smaller version that comes towards the viewer as it fades away. and the new line fades in. There's also a change in tracking here, tracking large as it gets larger, and then sort of a tracking that's between the large one and the existing one. So this is a mixture of tracking, scale, this is some fancy text stuff. What else was there? Oh yeah, coming towards the user, so, or viewer, Z position and opacity. So yeah, that's sort of the breakdown of most of the effects that you see in the original sequence. One important thing to note is that in many of the animations, a lot of the characters are animated individually, so as you can see character by character coming in on their own time. I'm not sure if they have some kind of special effect that allows it to come in one by one, but not, say, sequentially from left to right. For me, if I were to spend more time in recreating this, I would have done each character one by one, but it was neither in my interests nor in my capacity to do so before the deadline, which I set for myself as this Friday. So I'm going to show my recreation. I tried to follow the effects faithfully. I made the backgrounds myself in Photoshop, and also this placeholder audio I made myself with a little keyboard, just so that you can hear what the original sounded like. So I tried to recreate my own thing using a similar feeling to the original music video and the one that I created, the recreation, and you can see some similarities here as we go along. Alright, let's play that again. Okay, so stepping through it, again, abstract art background. This is fading in. In the original video recreation, I did fading out using the same thing. So basically it's some solids with mask expansion and turbulent displacement used to mask in the silhouette. For those of you who've been from the beginning, you will recall that I used this silhouette to tease the debut back in March. As we follow through, this is the circle from the original. Except in the original, the circle didn't cover the whole screen, but I wanted it to do so to stealthily change the background. On the circle is my logo, and when it swoops out, reveals this really cute image after. Knowing when to be satisfied. So the original video goes definitely into a lot of detail, and I would have liked to create something with as much attention to detail and secondary and even tertiary animation effects like in the original video. Like for example, the lines were animated kana by kana, but I felt like I didn't have the time to exactly recreate it the way that they did it. The total time for me to make this was about 3 hours. I spent a good 30 minutes or so looking things up and how to do them, especially refresher for some of the effects that I hadn't used in a while, or shortcuts that I forgot about. One thing that I thought was just crazy was because obviously they're a huge company, they have access and manpower to do such crazy levels of detail animations. I thought that this was a very fun experience and definitely would want to do something like this again. That's why I've specifically labeled as 01, because I'm expecting to do more of this in the future. It's going to be a 02, 03, and so on. Alright, that's all I have for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of Sachi Studies.